Welcome back to the Sportsmax Zone. Cricket is where we begin the final third of the show today. Hosts and former champions West Indies recorded their first win at the 2022 Under-19 World Cup after they beat Scotland by 7 wickets in match number 8 at the Bastille Cricket Ground in St Kitts. After losing the toss and being asked to bat first, Scotland were dismissed for 95 inside 36 overs with the TNT pacer Shiva Shankar, the pick of the bowlers with 3 for 17. Oliver Davidson 43 and Mohammed Majid were the only Scottish batters to reach double figures, Majid with 11. West Indies in reply cruised to their target, 96 for the loss of 3 wickets with 182 balls to spare. Scores in the match: Scotland 95, the West Indies 96 for 3. The West Indies now move up to second in the Group D standings on 2 points, trailing leaders Sri Lanka by 2 points, but ahead of Australia on net run rate. Sportsmax analyst Chris Taylor has been following the Under-19 World Cup, and he joins us now. Well, Chris, the West Indies were without their regular captain Akeem O'Geese today. He was unwell, we were told, not COVID, because he was at the match, but he wasn't feeling well, so he didn't play. But the team, went through the process pretty simply in the end.
Yeah, much improved performance, you would have to say, from the West Indies boys. Yes, there was a bit of a worry initially when O'Geese, when we realized that he would have missed out, especially considering his half century that he would have scored in the first game. But again, against much weaker opposition in Scotland, but you still had to beat them. I thought the West Indies performance was much improved, especially in terms of their fielding. Catching was excellent. Their ground fielding was way improved to the first game. So I thought from that perspective, they were a lot better. I thought the way they bowled a lot more consistent in terms of their line and length. Yes, the spinners stood out again. Amare, Nandu, and so on. I thought the spinners really, Mahez as well. I thought all 3 spinners did well, and there was quite a bit of variety. I do think, however, that the Scottish batsmen didn't offer the same kind of resistance that the Australians would have in the first game, and so it was an easier job for the West Indies in terms of keeping to their line and length in terms of the bowling. And I thought that the Pisa, the standing captain for Geese, his job was a lot easier than it might have been had it been against maybe Sri Lanka or somebody of a formidable stature. So I thought that, but to give West Indies credit, I thought it was definitely an improved performance, and I think the biggest part of the improvement came in their fielding and their catching. Really some remarkable catches taken today. The likes of Teddy Bishop in the slips, and Nandu himself taking a couple over his shoulder. And I thought Shankar, apart from these wickets that you will see here, that he took 3 for 17, I thought he, executed a wonderful run out for the Scottish main batsman in Davidson, and caught well as well on the boundaries. So I thought from that aspect it would be, a lot of smiles from the West Indies contingent, Curtly Ambrose, Reef and company. I thought that they would be very happy with that aspect of it. A little bit concerned, Mariah Lance, still with the batting of the boys. Yes, they did get to the total, and they did themselves all the favours in terms of getting there with ample time to spare. So their net run rate looks good. But just in terms of how they were shaping up, how they looked at the crease, I still don't see the level of confidence and application that I'd like to see from some of them going into a tough game. It will be their 3rd game against Sri Lanka, who defeated the Aussies today.
Yeah, you're leaving us to worry here, Chris, because this game was the game in the group that they were expected not to have too many difficulties, and we saw where the Sri Lankans beat the Australians, suggesting that, outside of the Scotland match, the other 2 fixtures in the group for the West Indies, very, very, very tough. And if you are expressing a little bit of dissatisfaction with how the team executed overall against the Scottish, there is room for concern then when they face Sri Lanka, if I'm hearing you right.
Well, I think 2 of the 3 categories, Lance, I thought deserve credit. I thought the West Indies, as I said, they fielded very well. I think they bowled well. What I did say is that the Scottish would have offered a different level of resistance to what the Australians would have in terms of them batting against the West Indies attack. I think West Indies will have a harder task bowling to the Sri Lankans, who are probably a little bit more innovative and a little more talented. But I thought, yes, bowling-wise and fielding-wise, West Indies team were better today, especially in the field. But I have concerns about the batting, and, you know, the Sri Lankan team, as we've known over many years, have a talented spin attack, especially their left-arm orthodox. And I think that is a bit of a worry for me, because even against the bowling attack of Scotland, which is inferior to Sri Lanka, some of the main batsmen that you'd have wanted to see stand up and really stamp their authority, they struggled a bit. Nandu, Paris up at the top of the order. I mean, they did get starts, but they didn't go on. And yes, West Indies got the score in terms of the batting, but not necessarily at the ease that we would like to see them execute against a team like Scotland.
Yeah, Chris, and then that leaves us with the burning question. The only question, can the West Indies, you know, make it to either number 1 or number 2 in Group D? And will they be able to, you know, continue? Because they would definitely be hoping that they can win the World Cup this year.
Well, they currently sit at second, and if you look at their net run rate, I think it's just 0.01 below the number 1 team in the group, which is Sri Lanka. And West Indies have Sri Lanka left. So what that suggests is once the West Indies beat Sri Lanka, they will not have to worry about net run rate. They will qualify for sure. The task at hand is to beat Sri Lanka. And as I said, we need to see the West Indian youngsters bat better, and that is important. Are they saving the best for last? Well, we hope so, in that they will put together the best batting performance that we've seen so far in the World Cup in this third game, and then get the better of Sri Lanka. But the bowling department and the fielding, those have been improved areas for them in this second game, so they're headed in the right direction. And we just hope that they continue in the right direction and improve all 3 areas. And I think if they do that, then West Indies certainly have the talent at hand to create a victory over the Sri Lankans.
Chris Taylor, always great talking to you on the Sportsmat Zone. We'll be in touch, sir.
Always a pleasure.
Yeah, so the other game in Group D today saw the Sri Lankans up against the Aussies, 2 teams that had won their opening game. And there's your result. Sri Lanka defeating the Aussies by 4 wickets. Australia 175 all out of their 50 overs. And the Sri Lankans were playing with 177 for 6 of 37 overs. So a pretty handsome victory there for the Sri Lankans. And that result for them in Bastir, propelling them to the top of the point standings with maximum 4 points from their 2 games. The West Indies and Australia joint second on 2 points. But the net run rate of the West Indies superior to the Aussies at the moment. Scotland rooted to the bottom of the table with 2 losses in their 2 games. We have just under 20 minutes remaining on the Sportsmax Zone. We go to break, and we'll be back with more after this.